Less stress, more time, more money. Welcome to the Cash Flow Contractor. Short.
What's up, Cash Flow Contractors? Khalil here. We've got another episode to help you find less stress, more time, and more money. This episode is all about time, how to use it wisely, and how to make better use of it inside of your business and just in your life in general. We hope that you find some of these tactics, tips, and tricks a little bit helpful and that they give clarity to how you're using your time. I think you're going to enjoy it, and hopefully you walk away with something that you can put into action today inside your business and inside your personal life. As always, thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoy. Martin, have you seen the movie About Time?
No,
It's probably one of
it
the
really
best.
isn't a movie about.
Yeah.
Is it a movie or a documentary?
No, it's a movie.
Oh,
It's got Rachel McAdams, and it's a
don't know who that
rom
is.
rom-com. It's actually a really great movie. It's not like a cheesy movie. It's like a feel-good, kind of sad movie too, in regards British. You like British humor.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I like England. I'm not sure if I like British humor all of it. It's different.
but really good movie about time travel.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Have you seen it?
where the guy. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's been out 10 years. Or so.
Yeah.
And he
yeah,
has to
10.
make a decision to stay back or something, right?
Yeah.
Because because it affects something in the future if he comes forward.
Yeah.
Know? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Good movie. With the time travel regard,
We don't have that luxury.
we don't have that luxury, but I think a lot of business owners, they look at how they spend their time, and because there's so much on their plates, they wish they could go back and change how they spent Friday afternoon or whatever it was, because they ended up trying to put out this fire that was a simple fix, or they could have delegated it, but they didn't.
Right.
Things like that. But we're talking about time management today, and I think, well, I'll ask you, what is your biggest key thing for time management for yourself, not for others, for yourself? How do you manage your time?
But it's focus, selecting what to focus on. I think one of my favorite quotes is Mark Twain. He said he didn't want to know when he will die. He wanted to know where. Okay. You gotta have to think about that for a little bit.
You do.
Well, it's gonna be when anyway. But his point was,
If I know
you can
where,
affect your location. You can't affect time. Affect time. It's marching on.
Mhm.
60 seconds to the minute and 60 minutes to the hour and all that stuff. It's merciless and it continues all the time. And so what Mark Twain's saying is you can manage, you can affect your location. You can't affect time, but you can manage your allotment of time.
Yeah.
And people, when there are all the things that are said all the time, time's worth more than money. You can always get more money if you lose it, but you can't get your time back. Everybody's heard all those things, but they don't act as if they believe them, because we just waste time doing things that
don't matter.
don't matter. Right. I mean, everything doesn't have to be a business purpose, but spending time with your family and things like that. But time time management at its core is making decisions about
Mhm.
what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to do later, and what I'm not going to do at all. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And the thing about time management is that it's a lot of work until it becomes a habit. How you manage your time becomes a habit and automatic. It's work.
It absolutely
And
is.
people driving around listening to this might be thinking, oh, another time management deal, or I need to do that, but I never will. Well, it's work and you have to do it. And it doesn't take that long if you follow what we'll talk about and begin to do it. Sean Aker says a habit's in 21 days, but literally 23 weeks, 4 weeks of doing it. And you're in the habit of doing it.
Yeah.
But you have to do it with intent. And
Well, not necessarily. If you want to have it in a positive way, you usually have to do it with intent. But the negative habits,
yeah, I think
usually the lack of intent is what causes them.
right.
Like if you're,
okay, the negative habits, yeah.
I mean, that's how they get formed, is over the 3 to 4 weeks of, oh yeah, after lunch, I always get on my phone in my car for 30 minutes at first and then an hour.
Well, I was
Man,
doing a presentation on this subject the other day. I looked it up. The average employee in the United States works 2 hours and 53 minutes out of an 8-hour day. Did we say that on another podcast? But
I don't know if we did,
yeah, but anyway, 2 hours and 53 minutes
I
out of
believe
an
it.
8-hour day. And as an aside,
If you're looking at office workers, I would agree.
yeah, if you're working if you're talking about people who are not controlled by a line, let's say,
Right.
an assembly line, you can talk about our contractor friends. Yeah, there's a lot of time leaning on shovels and
Yep.
waiting for parts to get there, and
Yep.
God love them. I mean, I love people, but that's the stat, and it's on the internet, so it absolutely has to be true. Matter of fact, it's on the internet in a lot of places, so it's very true. So, but that managing your time is essentially ultimately about focus. What are you going to do? What are you not going to do? And then we'll talk about it here as we go forward a little bit more. But man, they're animate and inanimate thieves who will take your time. I mean, projects, things that you do and diddling around, but your friends and your everybody will take your time if you allow them to do it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I think something that's important to recognize with time management, you've already said it, that it has to become a habit or else it's a decision, and decisions take a lot of capacity from your brain. So if you can spend time creating a plan and then taking the decision making out of it, where it's a default calendar or something of that sort, where it's like, hey, it's Monday at 5:30, I go to the gym. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30, I go to the gym, or every single day I'm up at 5:30 going to the gym. If you take the decision out of it and it's required, it becomes thoughtless.
Right. You do it.
And you just do it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing if you can find those, what we would call triggers. Atomic Habits is a great book for this, for creating the habits of time management. But if you think of the triggers that will allow you to perform the habit that you want or spend the time the way you want to spend it. For example, for myself, if I want to have deep work, meaning I'm working on a problem, working on a system for our business, working on, a new process, whatever.
The beginning and the end is exactly.
Yeah, there's not really a beginning and end. It's a deep project. It's going to be valuable to the business. It's working on the business, not in it. I go to a specific table at a specific coffee shop and I just show up there. And that helps me from location, kind of like your Mark Twain quote, if I can control where. If I show up to that location, I'm just in that mindset. And I don't have to, I know that, on this table, I'm able to hide my phone behind a lamp and to where I don't even see it, right? At this table.
Matter of fact, you're heading back there after this podcast to get it, aren't you?
Yeah. Anyways, I think you get the point, but by having that trigger associated with it, it makes it so much easier. And I think this is something where if you don't have a plan, then you're setting yourself up to fail.
Right.
And you've planned to fail, for the quote that's out there. Those who've failed to plan to fail.
Right.
But what really is, you're leaving yourself up to the decisions that you're going to make in a time when you're probably stressed, occupied with other things, not focused, and really basing your decision off of what's most comfortable because of that.
Yeah. Atomic Habits is a good book to put in the show notes. It's an excellent book in how to create the triggers to make it happen, which is some of the mechanics of time management. But the place I start with people is the same as I start with anything else that has to do with coaching. You, what do you want?
What's your vision?
Jim Rohn says that if the prize is apparent, the price is easy. And we've already said that managing time and building new habits and doing these things is work until it becomes not work. So there has to be a prize. And when I see people who don't make progress in time management, it's because at the core, they'll say they care, but your actions reveal your beliefs and your values.
Yeah.
They really don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't. They care enough to, when they come in and talk to me, they don't want to say, well, Martin's going to expect me to say this or that because I'm their coach or I'm speaking. That's not a reason. They don't care. If you can decide how valuable your time is or whatever it is that you want to do with managed time, and you believe it, and there's something you want, a house, more money, a spouse, a vacation to Italy or whatever it is, and you need to manage your time to get that done, you will do it. Absent that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Tommy Cabot is kind of addresses that too. But absent that, my experience has been with myself and with people I work with, you won't do it. So you have to have a reason. You have to be frustrated or you have to, dissatisfaction and a vision, something you're unhappy with or some vision that you want that says, okay, I'm going to devote myself to do that. So that really,
That's a really hard step, honestly. I don't think
yeah,
people,
it's the hardest thing I deal with any client ever. What do you want?
and people really struggle to answer that question of like, what do I want? And I think that's why they fail to plan, is because they
Yeah.
don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And they don't do the hard work of digging into, man, what do I really want? Not just in my business, but as a person, what do I want?
Well, it's the hardest question. And I'm sure we've talked about that in many episodes. That it's the hardest question, but it's the most important. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be respect, or I want make this amount of money, or I want my time back. It doesn't have to be fancy stuff, but it has to be something you really want that's going to give us, and by time back, I mean free time back, less stress,
Sure.
more money, more free time. But you have to do that. We're starting with the hardest step, but I've just found that without that,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
And people talk about it, but it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Because it gives you clarity.
Yeah.
And that clarity allows you to focus.
Why does it matter?
But it also gives you the motivation.
If your spouse would threaten to divorce you, there you go. There's one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but the law, Parkinson's law.
Parkinson's law. Yeah.
Why don't you explain that?
He just says something I think that we all know, that work expands to fill the time allotted to it. And
So what's an example of that?
well, if I'm writing a paper and I don't, or and I say, well, I've got until next Friday to write this article on this spiral, it's going to take till Saturday, right? But if I got to do it today, and we're talking about, this is one of the mechanics of it. But if we talk about, I've got to do it today because I'm going to be gone next week, or I've got to move on, I get it done today.
Yep.
And which brings us to another one of the tricks of the trade is, it's not going to be as good. Actually, it probably is, but it's going to be 80% as good as if I rewrote it 20 times between now and next week. That's good enough.
Done's better than
Because
perfect.
There's no such thing. My dad had an engineer friend at Morton Thiokol Rocket Company at the time. He said, there ain't nothing flat, ain't nothing round, ain't nothing square. Because no matter what it looks like, if you keep going down, think of pixels zooming in on a screen, that straight line becomes a bunch of squares, right?
Yep.
So forget perfect. And we can talk about it in order, but this is where you apply the 80-20 rule, which is one of the most
And
important
that's whose
things.
law?
Pareto principle. Pareto was an Italian, lived in Florence in the 1500s with the Medicis and those guys. And he noticed that 20% of the population produced 80% of what was produced.
But I think it was before that. Do you know how he recognized that? It was from farming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was everything. It wasn't just farming.
No. Like he recognized it with, I think it was peas, that 80% of the fruit of the peas from the vegetables was coming from 20% of the plants.
Oh, I
That's
didn't know that.
That's how he found
And
it. And then he extrapolated it out from there and recognized it was everywhere.
Well, and it's extrapolating to today.
Yeah.
So what that means, for example, is that 20% of your customers make you 80% of your net profit. 20% of your customers cause you 80% of your problems.
Mm-hmm.
20% of your employees do 80% of the good work. So, and it's a universe, even if it's 1981 or 79-21, it doesn't matter. The principle's the same, that most of the benefit comes from a relatively small part of the effort.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the rules. So actually taking it back to, if you, in sequence, how do you get control of your time, I still maintain, and I think you agree, that you have to know why you're doing it. Because if it's work and you're not going to do it, you're just going to listen, turn on the radio and drive on down the road. But have to have a reason. The second thing is you have to know where your time's going now. Okay. This is one of the places where you can do it or not do it. It's not an impossible task. It's not hard, but you have to do it. And that's the way I do it is with a legal pad. You can do it with dictating notes to your iPhone or whatever. But what am I doing right now? Literally, I'm doing a podcast. For 2 hours this morning, we're doing a podcast. And what am I going to do after that? I'm taking phone calls. I'm entering bills. I'm paying bills. I'm talking to clients. I'm doing marketing. But you write down all the things that you do. If you can do that for a whole week, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But at least for a couple of days. And you begin to see what you're doing and where your time's going.
Yeah.
And you also have to write down, watch the TikTok video that wound up being scrolled. Well, I don't know what you call that when you get one video and then you just keep scrolling and you're watching Lionel Messi and you're watching baseball and you're watching dogs. And then, did you see that shark eat that bird? And you look up and it's 20 freaking minutes later.
Or 2 hours later.
Yeah. Or 2 hours later, you have not done anything. Got to write that down.
Yep.
Right. So after you've decided why it's worth it, you have to audit your time and see where it's going with some degree of specificity, right?
Yep.
So not just, I worked on marketing, just what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have some information and you start going through that and apply the 80-20 rule to it.
Yep.
So if you have 25 items that you've come up with that generalized things, you circle the top 5, which is 20% of 80. And you say, these things are more important than all the others.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend my time on these things to the detriment of the others. And I don't know, if I came to you and told you, you've got 25 things that you do and you can only do 5, what are you going to tell me?
I've got 25 things to do and I'm only going to be able to do 5.
And 5 of them are more important. Those are my priorities.
I'm going to choose one of those priorities.
Okay. Well,
in my opinion.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, you just hit on a great point there. So you've done this, you got 25 things and you choose the top 5, which is 20%. Then you take those top 5 and you can do 20% of that too, which comes to 1. But what people push back because it's reality is, yeah, I've got that one priority, but I also have to eat. I also have to direct so you've got the regular things that have to happen outside of like on your business priorities.
Yeah.
But if you need to delegate those or look at them and say, can I not do that anymore? You cannot watch TikTok.
Yeah. You've got to eliminate the things that are unnecessary. You'll probably have to get uncomfortable and say no to things that you actually really enjoy, really want to do in order to create a life where you can say yes to those things. But, you have to recognize that when you say yes to 10 of those things rather than just 1 or 5, whatever, you're saying no to something else.
Absolutely.
And it's not just you're saying no to being able to do, X, right? Like, for example, you say yes to doing this extra job or making that concession to a customer, whatever it is. In your personal life, you might be saying no to going to the gym, but there's impacts of that also. You're saying no to a healthy lifestyle, to being able to be around when your grandkids are here, all those kinds of things. And so by saying yes to something that, well, I can't let go of that, or, so-and-so I can't delegate to them, it's going to take too long to train them, whatever it is, you're saying no to something else.
And to supplement that point, I don't remember where I was reading it, but they said it succinctly. Everything you do is because you decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And people kind of push, well, no, my boss, no. You decided that your boss had the authority to tell you, or your spouse or your kids or your friends. Everything you do is because you decided to do it.
Yeah.
And that means that you can decide not to do it, which goes back to the original thing. Time management is deciding what to do now, what to do later, and what to not do at all. right?
Absolutely.
So that kind of having a why, the reason, something to make the work worthwhile, prioritizing by writing out, by auditing what you do and then prioritizing it, and then to actually get it done.
Yeah.
Right? That's the fifth step. Yeah, if that's five. And that actually getting it done is what you were talking about. I'm going to do this. You have to look at something. Well, let's talk about the tools. One of the most powerful tools in actually getting things done is the word no.
Absolutely.
We have a mutual client, Chris, in Canada, whose motto is grow with no.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. And he's talking about all these products people want him to do. Nope, don't do it. Well, same thing when people will absolutely use your time if you allow them to. Hey, could you do this and get it? Get it? I'm sorry. No. But, no.
Yeah.
But you said no. So no is one of the biggest things. You mentioned it earlier, time blocking.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a podcast on that. Time blocking.
We've got
back
tons of episodes on time management just because it's such an important thing. But I don't know. I'm sure we've talked about default calendar for sure.
Well,
which is basically the same.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
But got articles on that too on the website. But a default calendar or time blocking means that you take chunks of time. Some people who are very organized take their whole week and divide it up. Like from 8:30 to 9:30, I answer emails and I don't open them till after that. On Monday from 9:31 to noon, I call client. I do callbacks, or I do my social media, or I do my whatever it is, actual work. Like I'm a bookkeeper. I'm keeping books. But you chunk out those times. And if it's really difficult to do that, then I say start with one. Whatever time works for you. Take Wednesday from 11 to 2.
Yep.
And this is, you're not available. I'm working on my business, and you're working on that number one priority.
Yeah.
Right. And so that you actually get things done. And when you have, or you can do like other people do and fill out the whole week. And one of the ways that works, it was not surprising, I guess, but I hadn't thought about it, is if you have marketing days. I talk to clients Tuesday afternoons, Thursday afternoons, I do marketing or meet with new clients. And a client prospect calls up and says, hey, I want to meet with you. And in the old days, you would have said, great, what works for you? And they say sometime. Instead, you say, great, I have Tuesday and Thursday afternoons open. That may not work and you may have to change, but a lot of times it does.
Yep.
And you've begun to assert control over your own calendar.
Absolutely.
So starting with that, priorities, and then at least having one set time blocked off that's what you're doing.
And I think, just an example for listeners, we record these episodes on Thursday mornings.
Right. And they're in red on my calendar.
They're in yellow on mine.
There you go.
And I just know, hey, what are you doing Thursday morning? I can tell
exactly. This is a default.
Someone tries to schedule something with me. Hey, nope, I have a podcast going on at that time, even when a guest, we have not really wavered outside, maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Have we recorded a guest outside of the time just because it truly did not make sense for the guest. Or it was that good of a guest that we were just like, hey, we'll move to a different time. We'll move things around.
Right.
So just,
so now all our future guests are going to be going, well,
I'm
going to go to their time, or are they coming to my time?
Yeah. We'll know the real guests that are listeners versus the not if they heard that. So, one thing that I wanted to say with this time stuff and being able to, I think people not only want to manage the time, but they want to be productive during that time and make their time matter. And one way to do that, we've talked about knowing what you want, having a priority that you focus on, maybe having goals that you're accomplishing during that time. One of the biggest things you can do is write it down. And a lot of times the reason why you're not focusing is because you haven't written down what you want to be doing or what you need to be doing to be able to know what it is.
That's a must point.
You have to write it down, and don't just put it in your notes on your phone that you don't look at. Take a piece of paper out, stick it right in the center of
your notebook with blue lines like you used to have in grade school. Well, that'd be Big Chief, but Anyway, people laugh at me, but it's all on there. I sometimes email myself when I'm driving
Sure.
so that a reminder, but then it goes in that book. And I have that one place in my calendar. Those are 2 places I have to look.
Absolutely. And write it down, put it in the middle of your desk. Like, hey, I need to go through payroll today, or I need to start working on this marketing plan, or whatever it is. Put it on the center of your desk and make sure you're doing it, and give yourself deadlines, so that you're able to do it in an efficient manner, not like, oh, well, try to get this done in the next month. Never
No,
gets done.
artificial deadlines.
Yeah. Um, the next thing that I was going to say as well is whenever you are trying to keep things organized, well, whenever you're trying to make better use of your time, you make better use of it when you're organized. And you've got a cluttered desk and you're trying to, get something done, you feel anxious because you're not,
Brain static.
yeah, you're scattered all over the place, right? And a lot of people don't realize that there are solutions for organizing the things that are complex in your business. And one of those things one of those areas is your technology stack, your software.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can keep, like, imagine doing your books without QuickBooks. It's absolutely possible, but it's a hell of a lot easier if you're using QuickBooks.
Yeah, you've got a good talk on that. What do you call that? Where coordinating your tech base. I just watched it the other day. What
I don't know.
podcast was?
It's one of them, but
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
you were just talking about that, simplifying these things so it's
One
automated
place to look.
and things talk to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to integrate your softwares, but if you can have just, hey, my bookkeeping is in QuickBooks. All of my customer data and information and marketing and sales happens inside of HubSpot. All of my project management, I know exactly what is happening on each and every job.
And all of my passwords are in a password
There you
keeper,
go.
which, oh my
If you're
God.
organized, you will be so much more efficient with your time. And just by creating those efficiencies with your tech stack, with the software that you use in your company, by using, a handful of softwares rather than 25, you're going to save it makes it so much easier for you to operate in an organized space, because there's clarity in where is the information that I need, where do I work, where do I get things done, where do I know what needs to happen. It's all in one spot. And so I highly encourage, if you're trying to make better use of your time, look at your environment. Your literal location is your desk scattered, but also where you're doing the task. Is the job site a mess? It's going to be harder to know where the tools are if the toolbox is not organized, right? Same thing for anything that you need for that task. Is it organized? It'll make it so much easier. And then with that, as you get more efficient, I think it was in the 60s, maybe even before that, Congress had like emergency meetings about technology, about how all these efficiencies that like the microwave was creating and all these different
Really? I
things.
didn't know about this.
They had a meeting because they were worried that technology was going to get so advanced that people wouldn't work. And they estimated that by
It has.
yeah. Yeah, not how we thought.
Yeah.
No, but they thought that by the year 1995 or something like that, that the average American would be working 4 hours a week or something like that. And they were worried.
They were right about that. No.
Yeah.
No,
But they were worried. They were like, our economy's going to, we're not going to have things for people to do. People are not going to have a purpose in life. And they were worried about the acceleration of technology. Obviously, we know that hasn't been true, because as we've become more efficient, we've used that time to work on other things and to, continue to take on more and take on more.
This week in a national publication with this.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's talking about high IQ stupid people.
Okay.
And they're having fun with that, but that's a little bit of it, Do you know that, I don't remember the year, but they proposed shutting down the patent office?
No.
Because everything, imaginable has already been invented.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to Google to see when that was. Late 1800s.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so same thing, that people just, because they can't think of it, they don't realize that other people do. And this is not the subject, and we can cut this off. But as I've said before, when I graduated from college, we didn't have copiers. And there were people working in computers, but they were mostly in the Navy, as UNIVAC and those, working for the government.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you say software, I need to look up the stat, but almost everybody I know has a job that did not exist when I got out of college.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy.
anyway, that's off the top. We just wasted some time.
We did waste some time. Well, I want to continue with that.
Okay.
So Congress is worried about that, but obviously we filled that time with other things.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that will end up working to the detriment of you as a business owner, as a contractor, is that as you become more efficient with technology, with time blocking, with whatever it is, and you get things done, you're more productive, you start to fill that time that you created with other things, with other responsibilities. Oh, we're going to start this new service, new branch, and I'm going to manage it now because I'm more efficient. I've got more time. I can handle it. But you always have to be aware of what your capacity is.
Mhm.
Because even though you may have time for something, you may not have the capacity for it. You open that new location 2 hours away to service the new market and you're the one that's going to manage it. Both locations just got worse.
Mhm.
And even though you do have the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the capacity. And so as you're working on your time management, also be aware of your capacity management is my
That's a really
point to
good
make.
point. We recently recorded an episode on the contractor death spiral.
Yep.
And that's one of the compounding things that happens, that easy money jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm going to rebuild that easy money. I'm going to put that, and there is no such thing. Listeners may have stumbled across a super job that went perfectly well and great customers and they paid you on time. Wow, that was easy money, but there's no easy money. You have the risk of things go wrong if you don't manage it. And
Yep.
that's exactly the kind of thing they were doing is, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Well, all of a sudden,
I've got the time for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hired this new person and they're going to be working inside the office and that frees me up and I can do this now.
Not that we're discouraged growing, but you have to think about it, plan it. And the capacity is more than just time capacity. It's money capacity, people capacity.
It's so,
equipment.
yeah, so many other things. Yeah. So I think, with that, there's something that I really liked that I heard from he's an executive at a big marketing company in New York City. But he says, appreciate the effort behind the ask. Whenever you delegate something to somebody, before you delegate it, appreciate the effort behind that ask that you give to the employee. And the same thing for yourself. Appreciate the effort behind the ask. Sometimes we can get so focused on just the end result. Oh, it'll be great because we'll get this much more profit or whatever it might be. But understand
What it takes to actually do it.
what it actually takes to do that. And that will transform how you view your time as well. Because you'll stop making concessions with customers. You'll stop,
Right.
you'll get rid of some of the mistakes that are happening, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, time management. I don't even know. I mean, we've talked about time management. We've talked about a lot of other
Well,
things during this time.
Kind of want to sum it up, I guess.
Make better use of your time.
Well, it's making better use of your time. You have to have a reason to do it because it's work. You have to audit where you're spending your time now, prioritize what you're going to do, learn to say no.
Yep.
Time block and set aside times, set artificial deadlines. Remember that there's no such thing as perfect. Get stuff done. Get stuff done. And if you start that and do that, wind up with some softwares that help, my primitive software is, the email and my Google Calendar, but
Yep.
they
work.
Whatever it is that makes it work, if you can do that for 21 days, then you'll get your life.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate everybody listening to this episode. Thank you for your time. I think that this was hopefully time well spent and that it's helping you to find less stress, more time, and more money as a contractor. If you ever have questions, reach out to Martin and I. Share this episode on social media with all of your peers. And if there's somebody that needs to hear this, an employee inside your company, a peer, another contractor you work with, please send it to them and ask them to follow us. Thank you for everything, and we'll see you next time. What's up, cash flow contractors? Thank you so much for listening to the episode on how to better use your time, and I hope you found value in it. If you want to talk more about some of the things we mentioned in the episode, anything from managing your time better, finding out what you want, setting a vision for your business, getting organized in your business, and building out your tech stack, any of the things that we've covered here, schedule a meeting with us down below in the show notes using one of the meeting links for either Martin or myself. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk more about your business, your situation, how we might be able to help. And then also, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your colleagues, your peers, other contractors that you do business with. We'd love to get out to more people and grow this podcast and this community of contractors. Also, don't forget, leave us a 5-star review. It helps us to promote the podcast and grow the podcast. And we'd love to see more reviews on our Spotify and on our Apple Podcasts. And then if you ever have feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you as well. But thank you for listening. We hope that you enjoy the podcast and would love to hear from you guys. Hope you're finding less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Thanks for listening.